scaring them. This is not the right thing to do. We need cooperation between landowners, government, chiefs, harvesters, exporting companies. The international buyers have a lot of responsibility here, and it's time that we're going to hold them responsible and have them act in support of Somaliland. That's a big part of my job. We need independent researchers. We need students. We need students like you. We need researchers and people to get involved. And we need independent verifiers, international folks like myself and Stephen, who do not benefit from the sale of frankincense and don't have an interest in Somaliland, so we can be objective. Next slide. We need cooperation to enforce best practices. Now, what do I mean by best practices? I mean proper tree care, the HERE laws, the right way to take care of the trees. We need cooperation so that there's no more winter harvesting, that the trees are rested. We need to have cooperation to end overwounding. We need cooperation to make sure that the cuts are not too deep. No one company alone can do that. No one government ministry alone has the resources to do that. It's going to take a cooperative effort. And usually, environmental problems like this need cooperation from many different sectors to solve them. Next slide. This is a proper cut. It's barely a scratch on the tree. It's barely a scratch on the tree. And you know, the minute he made this cut, the olibanum, the resin started to come out. So this is a sign of a healthy tree and a tree that can produce resin. Just showing you. Next slide. We need a business association of exporters with a code of conduct. We can't have the exporters setting their own rules. They need to have some agreement amongst them for the care and maintenance of these trees, because they have, in some ways, the most direct influence. Well, you might ask me, well, how do they have that direct influence? Because they buy the resin directly from the landowner. So if I have a code of conduct as a business that I will not buy winter resin, then I've essentially just stopped a bad practice. I've stopped over-harvesting. So they have a lot of influence. And so we need a business association of exporters. And I do believe that that has been proposed, and that some of the companies are working on making a charter to have a business association. These companies also need to commit to training and teaching harvesters in proper care of the trees. In some places, the traditional knowledge has been lost. That's happening all over the world. That's not just something here in Somaliland. That's happening all over the world, where traditional knowledge has been lost. It needs to be brought back, and the companies, the exporting companies, have, again, direct access to provide training along with the government, right? So like the Ministry of Planning, there's ministries of environment that can help in training and teaching communities proper tree maintenance. We need the businesses to be willing to sanction bad actors. If they know that a community is overwounding the tree, they have to be willing to say, I will not buy resin from you if you do that. On the flip side, the companies need to be willing to pay a much higher price to the communities who take good care of their trees. It's a lot of effort to take good care of your trees. You have to have some patience. You have to go slower. You can't be greedy. You can't have all the money up front. You have to go at a slower rate. And so those people need to be rewarded. And hopefully that will be all the harvesters in the next coming years that are managing their trees well, and everyone will be paid a higher price for their resins. We also have been talking with the ministry in Aragesa. Some of you may know that Minister Shukri traveled with me to Aragabo recently. That's how serious this is being. This is a serious issue now. We have to act now. And there is talk about having a gums and resin sector in the Department of Commerce and the Ministry of Environment that would be responsible for enforcement of best practices and also enforcement of illegal harvesting. There are problems in places where people who do not own that land come and illegally harvest resins. That is mostly driven by cot addiction. Next slide. So, and how do we help the communities? The women and children who live in these communities and the elders, how do we help them? So only paying a landowner more money for his resin may or may not help the community, right? We have to look beyond that. Well, there's models for this that have been used very successfully in other countries like Rwanda, Botswana, in the United States. They're called common asset funds. And what I'm advocating for is that the international buyers and the exporters put a certain percentage of their profit into a fund that is administered by an independent party, so people can't steal it, and communities that are taking good care of their trees can apply for funds to bring doctors, to build wells, to diversify into other agricultural products. It's called a common asset fund. So you business students, Google it when you get a chance. Common asset funds. These are very, very successful mechanisms for supporting communities as a whole to benefit from the sale of a forest product. Or, for example, in Rwanda, they've done this with people who live in the Virunga National Park. It's about $500 to climb the mountains to see the mountain gorillas in Rwanda. Some of that money goes into a common asset fund, and the communities who live at the base of the park receive monies annually from that fund to invest in women's health, in children's education. It's up to the community. Next slide. I want to also be very clear that we have not finished our work. We plan to be back in a couple months and visit 10 more sites to look at 10 more locations. I'm determined by the time I'm done, we will have seen all 42 major farms, inshallah, if God is willing. Some people may or may not want me to come onto their land. I have to have permission because this is privately owned land, yeah? But we definitely have a commitment from at least 10 more farms that would like us to come and take a look at their trees. So we tend to come back and do that. We're going to be working on forest density, which is very important. We need an understanding of how many trees we actually have here in Somaliland, right? So we can understand how much productivity there is. Next slide. This is a mother tree. I love trees. If you haven't noticed already, I love trees. And this is a mother tree in Matamoge. This tree has been very well managed because they recognize the significance of this mother tree because it gives such high quality resin. Not all trees give the same quality resin. It's just the way life is, right? Some trees give better resin than others. This tree in particular is being protected because of how high a quality resins it gives out. And so we intend to study the genetics of trees like this to determine how we can grow them possibly in cultivation here in Somaliland to propagate trees that can give more resin and higher quality resin. Okay, next slide. This is how complex the issue is. Don't worry about what this slide says, okay? But it's a visual. I just want you to see a visual of all the different factors that are interconnected here. And that is very, very normal. Environmental problems have become increasingly complex. Somaliland is dealing with a drought. That makes things more complex, right? There's more and more people on the earth. That makes things more complex. We have climate change and things that are not the fault of Somaliland, but yet Somaliland suffers some of the consequences. And so it is a complex issue, and usually they are. Next slide. Oh, that's my last slide. So if you want to look at more information, we have a website. We can leave this slide up. You can like us, please like us on Facebook. The more people who do that, the more reach we have and the more information we can disseminate. You can contact me personally if you're a student and you're interested in getting involved in doing research. We have lots of opportunities, and in fact, I would love to have more Somali students involved. And thank you very much.